The thing I want to say about that game, great game, wild game, one of the rare things that lived up to the hype. We said going into that game that arguably it was the most important game of the year and the best game of the year because you had two teams that might have been the two best teams in the NFL going into that game, and the stakes were extremely high. You're playing for first place in the division. You're playing for arguably the first overall seed in the NFC, and then we have a whale of a game. And it looks like the Rams have that game won. The Rams are up 15 in the fourth quarter. In the history of the franchise, the Seahawks were 0-172 while trailing by 15 in the fourth quarter. So that game was over. At one point, they had a 3% chance of winning that game. There it is, that graphic. In 172 games, the Seahawks have never won when trailing by 15 or more in the fourth quarter. So what I'm going to say to that is, if they had a 3% chance, I'm going to say that's a 0% chance. They were 0-172. That game was effectively over. Yeah, well, make it 1-172 because they come storming back in dramatic fashion. So you can imagine why, and I don't know that I've ever seen Sean McVay as agitated as he was after that game. And understandably so. Number one, they had won the game. The game was over. And we're talking about a game with major, major implications. Maybe top seed implications. They may have lost that road. Their road may be totally different now. So obviously he was very agitated that they imploded in a game that important. I would imagine also he was agitated that not only did they implode in that game, but he was subjected to a series of questions about Puka Nakua right after the game. Because Puka, although he played his ass off and put up huge numbers, it didn't matter. They lost. But, y'all have that in a minute. But not only did Puka put up those numbers that didn't matter, I don't think my man made it off the field before he was back in his phone doubling down on the junk that he was talking about the refs. Never mind that it wasn't the refs that cost them that game. Say what you want about that two-point conversion. You're up by 15 in the fourth quarter with the top seed possibly at stake. You finish. You win that game. So never mind that what he said made no sense whatsoever. But Sean McVay was even more aggravated because he didn't know about it until reporters started to ask him about it. And like I said, I'm not sure I've ever seen this guy this upset.
Kind of taking like
Grim, look at him.
The refs. I mean,
what are you talking about?
You just put something on Twitter a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, so what are you asking me right now?
Are you okay?
I can't answer questions about something that I'm not aware of.
Okay, but are you okay with players kind of expressing frustration over things like that? Or is that something that you hope that they kind of keep to themselves?
I got to have more information before I answer any of those kind of questions.
What conversations have you had with Puka about his live stream this week?
Yeah, he was very apologetic. I don't think he understood the totality of some of the things. I think he issued that apology. I know this guy's heart, and for anybody that was offended, terribly sorry about that. I know he feels that same exact way. He's a young guy that's a great kid that's continuing to learn about, just the platform that he has. I love him. We're going to continue to put our arm around him and help him learn and grow. But we never want to do things that ever offend anybody, and I know he feels that same way.
How about those guys coming onto your property at the facility in a short week as you're preparing for the biggest
game? I don't know anything about that stuff. They came on our property?
They were outside the parking lot.
Because he said on the live stream that you were mad.
I was? I don't think, no. Did he say my name?
He said, boss man. I assume that was you.
It wasn't me. Yeah.
Did it feel like a distraction this week?
No, it wasn't a distraction at all. Did you think his play showed that he was distracted? I didn't think so either. He went off today.
All right, number one, it's a distraction because he had to answer like 10 questions about it afterwards. I've never seen him so aggravated. In all my years of watching Sean McVay, I have never seen him so angry. I mean, I think he handled it really well. But don't get it twisted. He is angry. He is agitated. Agitated about the loss and agitated that he had to answer all those questions about Puka. I thought this was really interesting at the very end when he said, oh, wait, those guys came onto the facility? I don't know anything about that. Did he say my name? So I don't know who made that call. There was a call made. No, Puka, no, your dudes are not coming onto our property. So I don't know who made the call or who didn't. But Puka, despite all of that, obviously learned nothing from that because he was into his phone practically before he got off the field. Did you see how fast that post went up? Puka Nakua took another shot at the refs immediately after the Rams lost to the Seahawks. Quote, "Can you say I was wrong? Appreciate you, Stripes, for your contribution, LOL." I mean, that thing was up like within 10 minutes of the end of the game, and then it was deleted within about 10 minutes after that. So, wild night. And by the way, how about Sam Clemente? How about him bouncing back from a couple of bad picks and then the rap? See? That's Sam. Sam will never, ever win a big game. He won one last night. Joining me right now to break all of this down and many other things is none other than Adam Rank. Adam, what's going on, dude? How you feeling?
What's happening? Oh, it's great to be here once again. I was having some camera issues right before we came on, and everybody was worried, but we're here. We're good. We're looking sharp. Not as sharp as you in that quarter zip. I don't know if I've seen a nicer quarter zip than the Johnny O quarter zip you got right now, but looking good for this year-end show.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I'll tell you a nicer one, the white one. The white one's better than the blue one, but I appreciate it. Dude, thank goodness you worked through that camera issue. Can you imagine missing the last show of the year? That'd be like me scheduling a power outage for hour number 4.
I would be despondent. Although I will be here for the next 2 weeks with all the fill-in hosts. Be ready when Trent Rush is here. I think this will be my opportunity to get out all my Angels talk.
Oh, wow,
and all
dude.
that stuff.
Not an after hour, Angel hour.
Angel
Hour. I like it.
With us and Trent Rush. One of the things I wanted to point out now, the Seahawks had never overcome a 15-point deficit in the fourth quarter to go on there and win a game. The Rams had only lost one in their history where they were leading by 15 points in the fourth quarter. That was December 11th, 1989. The San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. It was Joe Montana threw 2 90-yard touchdown passes to John Taylor in that game, and I was there. I was there watching that.
I remember that game.
That was the one.
I remember that game. John Taylor, yo. Love it.
And the guy getting burned repeatedly was one of the dudes who they got from the picks that they had used from the Eric Dickerson trade. So it all came full circle for him. Like, not only do you not have Eric Dickerson anymore, the guy who you got with those picks is getting burned by John Taylor.
Toast. So correct me if I'm wrong. Do you see it the same way? Have you ever seen Sean McVay so agitated? Ever?
No, that was crazy. Like, I'd never seen him like that before. Snapping, not really snapping, but having a little bit of
but you're right, though. But like, kind of snapping and pushing back and challenging a reporter and a question. He never, ever does that. Ever. Yeah. Like I said, I think he handled it well because he couldn't have wanted to be there, and he probably was not in a really good frame of mind. But the guy's, is such an amazing leader. But he didn't hide his agitation, right? He was agitated.
No, and I thought, like, he was as polite as can be. And if I'm a fan of the Rams or anything like that, I would at least be happy that my guy was sticking up for us. As we see him right there addressing the reporter, and then to throw it back. Like, I've never seen him have that kind of exchange where he's like, did he look like he was distracted? I'm like, whoa.
Right.
That is one of those things, like, if I was in that room, and I'm sure the reporters have worked with him for years now, and they've never seen him like that. I can't remember a situation like this before, and the Rams have had some tough losses in their history. So for him to reach that moment shows you how much it meant to him, how frustrated he was, and in some way, I sort of get what he's getting at too. So especially with the Puka stuff, like it's getting out of hand, and then to go out and do what he did after the game, like immediately runs to his phone. Like, this is something that we saw a couple of weeks ago in Arizona. They win. He's one of the first guys back in the locker room. He's live streaming. His teammates are telling him not to do it. So he's like, okay, I won't live stream, but I'll go out and tweet. And he was like, see, he went back and doubled down, tripled down on his point that he was making earlier. And you know what? Like this, again, like we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We even said it yesterday. Like we brushed it off the first time it happened. Like he's not Antonio Brown, but it's like, bro, you're starting to get into Antonio Brown territory.
Listen, the thing is, no, he did not look distracted. Of course not. He had receptions worth 225 yards. He didn't look distracted, but that doesn't mean that it's not a distraction. Like McVay had to answer all those questions, and you're going to have other teammates answering those questions. That in and of itself is a distraction. It obviously did not affect his play. I mean, that guy went out there and he did what he always does. But to say that it's not overall a distraction, and they lost a game that they had a 15-point lead in, and they may have lost the top seed, and the guys obviously learned nothing. I'm telling you, it felt like he wasn't even off the field before he was back in his phone. And why? So here's my question. He just feels to me like a guy that, hey, man, he's an incredible player. And it's a good thing that he is, because it feels like they can't rein him in. What do you do if you're the Rams? What do you do if you're the Rams? How do you control this guy or rein this guy in if after everything that happened, and even after he issued that apology prior to, he still runs right to the phone to take a shot at the refs? And why, Adam? It wasn't the refs that cost them that game. Why? Man, because you want the clicks. You want to go viral. You got to push the content. Whatever it is, it motivated him to do that. So there's a $25,000 fine, which I'm sure he doesn't give a damn about and got off cheap. I just don't know, after all of that, you're still rushing to your phone to do that? Why? How you rein that guy in? If you're the Rams, what do you do with Puka then?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things. Are we going to be shocked, like during draft season, if Puka Nakua ends up getting traded to the Baltimore Ravens or something like that? If you think about where the Rams are right now, they currently have the draft pick of the Atlanta Falcons. So they're going to be in a position to where they can rearm themselves pretty quickly. And when you look at all the young talent on the defensive side of the football, and you look at it and you say, you know what, we're going to have to sign some guys over the course of the year. Are we really going to make Puka Nakua the highest paid player in the NFL? Like, this is a real serious question. I know the Rams are, traditionally have been a win now guy. They were talking about it on the broadcast last night, where at one point Les Snead had been like, bleep them picks. We don't care. We just want players. But at the same time, the Rams have got to be pretty smart with their salary cap situation looking the way it is right now. And again, I don't want to get too caught up in the moment, because honestly, this could be something that we look back on after the Rams are hoisting a Lombardi trophy and being like, oh yeah, remember when Puka was tweeting from the locker room? But at the same time, like, if you're going to commit a lot of money to a wide receiver, and I think that we've seen this recently. We saw George Pickens being traded for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I would say Puka Nakua has accomplished a hell of a lot more than George Pickens has done during their time in the NFL. But if he ended up getting traded somewhere, and we've seen it, we saw it happen with Tyreek Hill, where he wore out his welcome. He ended up in Miami. So if the Rams were to trade him during the offseason, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not trying to hot take it, but it's not something that's an uncommon occurrence in the NFL.
It's interesting. What you say is interesting. I'm not advocating for a trade right now, but I don't like what I see. And man, I'm not even saying that his off-the-field act is overshadowing his on-the-field act, but it's converging. It's getting closer. Like, it's mind-blowing to me that he's still doing that. And I'm just asking, what do you do with this guy? Do you pay him? If you can't control him now and you can't rein him in now before he gets paid, and he really doesn't give a damn what you think, because this is what he's doing, or he doesn't understand. I don't know which is worse. He doesn't care or he doesn't understand. But clearly, it's not getting through to him. And if somebody like Sean McVay can't handle that guy, then who can? Then I don't know if they want that problem. So I'm not advocating for a trade. I'm just saying, dude, wake the hell up. Wake the hell up, Puka. You got the greatest thing in the world going. You're the greatest organization there could be. You're in a great spot. What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Yeah. Wake up. All right, so what about Sam Clemente?
Yeah.
So Sam, our guy Sam, You love him, I love him, and although I hate it for him, I certainly couldn't argue against the narrative. Like, here we go again, man.
Right.
Sam's just missing that one gene, that one clutch gene. Turned it over, a couple of bad picks. Here we go again. The argument for him was, all right, he had the 4 picks in the first game against the Rams, but still had a chance to win it late. And if he can bounce back here, it can shut a lot of people up, but he didn't. And he made a couple of bad mistakes. And then lo and behold, man, the guy stayed in the fight. He kept going, found a way to get it done, clutched up, won the game. Couldn't be happier for Clemente. Like, what a great, great win, not only for them, but for him personally.
You know, and you're talking about the year in review and going back and watching his interview from this year that you played a moment about an hour ago or a half hour ago, talking about how he grew up with his dad, driving around, listening to the show, going to football practices, listening to the Jungle. So obviously we're going to be a little bit biased when it comes to San Clemente. I remember him playing for San Clemente High School, being a member of the Tritons, going up, losing to Tesoro during, I think it was his junior year. Him and I do not have a great history with Tesoro, but in any event, it's one of those things that, you know, it's so... Watching these games, it gets so personal because you know that every mistake is going to be amplified, especially in a Thursday night standalone game. Everybody is watching. Well, everybody with Amazon Prime, everybody is watching, and you know the crash out is happening. Once he makes that second pick, you know Twitter's already on him. The crash out's happening. The lava pigs are out there. And then, of course, they find a way. They battle back. Now, obviously, Rashid Shaheed did a great job. The defense made some stops. But
by the way, the Rams special teams did not do a great job. Again. This is killing them. The defense is not as good as advertised. Man, that's the thing, right? There are some issues with the Rams now. There are some issues with the Rams. All of a sudden, I'm not feeling like, you know, I'm not saying that they can't come back, but I am saying who's going to back into the Super Bowl? Like, now who's the team to beat? I still don't think there's that one standalone team that, and I thought it was the Rams, but then you see, if you watch them last night, you watch them closely, and you see the special teams implode again, and I see some issues on defense, there just isn't that one team that stands out above everybody else, or even separate from. I think there's still a pack of 4 or 5 that I could argue for.
No, I mean, honestly, I would even expand it to all 7 teams that make the playoffs in the NFC should feel comfortable like, oh, we can win this. Like, there is nobody that you need to fear. Somebody who's going to be so formidable that you're like, well, you're not going into there to win. I think that everybody has their flaws. Everybody has their issues. Even if you're Philadelphia right now and things are not going great, you just lost 3 in a row. You're trying to scuffle back, trying to get some respectability going for you. Even the Philadelphia Eagles have to feel right now like, we're not done. We're not out of this. And if the right couple of teams win, I mean, if I'm being realistic, like the Bears, if the Bears end up with the number 2 seed and Philadelphia had to go to Chicago, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like Philadelphia shouldn't fear, even though they lost pretty handedly, but like you wouldn't fear, you know, a team in its first year, just coming off a season where they had 10 consecutive losses. San Francisco, another team too. You're like, hey, what if San Francisco ends up with the number 1 seed? But again, they have their issues too. They have so many decimating injuries.
But isn't that incredible that we can even talk about that Frisco could end up with the number 1 seed, and they could. They could, incredibly enough.
Easily.